Welcome back. Wednesday one-shotters is what I think Jesse said we're calling you guys that are watching this. Welcome back for another one of these where we talk about things that we like. This is not things that we're critical of. It's just things that we're recommending because we are enjoying them. And today we are talking about a new series on Disney, Agatha All Along. Jesse, thoughts early on? We've only got 2 episodes so far this series, but early thoughts.
And as always, we'll give you warnings before we get into spoilers. So the first little bit of this will you don't have to worry about any big spoilers. I'm for a group of characters, and considering I only really know who one of the characters is at this point, that I don't really have much of an investment in the Marvel comics. You know, I came back to the show. I wasn't sure if my mom would want to watch it because it's witches, and you know, it's leaning. It was originally called Coven of Chaos, and or Agatha and the Coven of Chaos, and I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be like something we're going to be able to watch together. And she was actually excited for it. She really liked Agatha in the WandaVision show. I did too. I think Catherine Hahn is a fantastic actress. That usually gets put into like secondary roles and stuff. So all that to say, her being the lead of this show is what really drew me back to it. And I'm having a blast. I think, again, we'll save some spoilers for later, but the 2 episodes so far are there's some tonal differences between the 2. But you know, it makes sense when you watch the episodes why they are the way they are. But I think the acting is really good. I think I'm just having a good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first thing I would throw out to anybody is you know, I understand there's certain things. Well, not everything is for everybody, and especially within the Disney universe, there's been some ups and downs, especially when it comes to the series. You know, some series people like, some they don't. If you liked WandaVision, I think there's a good chance you'll like this. So I'll just kind of start with that because it feels like a continuation of that. I mean, first of all, it's some of the same characters from that series, and it's set after WandaVision is done, so it's in that same kind of world and space. Other than that, I would say, you know, this isn't Captain America. This isn't Wolverine. This isn't like your typical Marvel thing that you would expect. If you can kind of put that comic book thing aside, you know, and just kind of watch this series for what this series is, I think there's a lot to enjoy in this. You know, it's not caped superheroes and, you know, jumping tall buildings in a single bound, but it's a fun story with great characters. I think, you know, the group that's there, and I don't think this is very spoilery. It's just kind of stating what it is, but the group that you're going to be, I think, spending a lot of time with throughout this series feels very much like Island of Misfit Toys from Rudolph. You know, it's
good comparison.
Yeah, it's not, you know, these aren't the best of the best. This is kind of the broken and leftovers, and I kind of feel that way about not only the characters, but even kind of the actors and actresses in this. Like you said, you know, like Catherine is typically kind of that B character, the one in the secondary role. So to see some of these actors and actresses be able to, you know, kind of shine a little bit better than they have maybe in other roles in the past, I think is really cool. And it's set up after 2 episodes to be a very fun series, I think. So
yes. Yeah, I think that's really good. Yeah, the Island of Misfit Toys, that's a good open, and all I can think of is like, I'm a water gun that shoots jelly or whatever he says.
Yeah.
It's good. It's one of those things where it's taking a concept that works in a lot of Marvel, especially like the X-Men universe, kind of the outcast, the downtrodden, like the characters that are on the outs of society. In this regards, I don't think it's any spoiler to say this, like of the, you know, kind of the magic and witchy side of the Marvel. So they're kind of the outcasts of that probably much smaller subgroup of people in the world of Marvel Universe movies and shows. And I'll say this: I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but like the certain shows and things, some of the like usually I'm just caught in the moment of what we're watching, what's going on, the plotting, and I'll be like, oh, this looks really nice. But there's been a couple moments in this show between the first 2 episodes where I'm like, wow, this is a gorgeous shot. Just the framing, the lighting, and it's almost like that scene in Game of Thrones season 2 I talked about on our one shot for that, where I think it was when it was on Rhaenyra, and it's just her kind of staring out the window, and you just see like the dust motes falling through the light, and it was just a really still, probably the most not exciting moment of that entire series,
right?
Or all of Game of Thrones in general. But it was so
House of the Dragon, but yes.
Did I say Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
House of the Dragon. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But that shot, and there's 2 shots, 2 different shots. I don't know if it was both in the first one or one of each that I just thought was really, really interesting. And it wasn't to where it took me out of it, but it just really made me appreciate what I was looking at all the more. Cause it's like, all right, this is an entertaining story, but like there's some beautiful craft work going into the
cinematography and sets. And yeah, for sure. Yeah. I like that whole, people that either have kind of fallen from where they were, maybe they were in a better spot and they've fallen, or people that have never quite reached their potential, or people that are just like maybe they're just starting off and they're trying to get to a certain spot. So, seeing these people that aren't in the place that they want to be, whether it's they were there at one point or they're just trying to get there, and then getting together, maybe not because they want to, maybe not like these people may not want to necessarily work together, but through kind of working towards a common goal, they find themselves in a group. And I think that it sets itself up to see kind of how these relationships form amongst this group of people as we go further along the way. And it's interesting. It's bringing a dynamic that I really enjoy, whether it's, you talk about like Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those where you got like these broken individuals that, all of a sudden find themselves in a team that, maybe they weren't set out to be a team, but now that they are, you get to see kind of how the inner workings go. So
that's the comparison I thought you were going to make when you went with the Island of Misfit Toys earlier.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to reference Guardians because I know how much you like those, and I could see that. No, and I agree. Like, even though Agatha is a bad guy, like granted, spoiler, if you haven't watched WandaVision, you should not be watching this one shot. Granted, Wanda, what happens in WandaVision, like Wanda does a bad thing. She doesn't do it for bad reasons, but it doesn't negate that she did a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say that Agatha's a villain, but she was definitely like the antagonist and villain to Wanda in that show. And
the other thing that we learned from WandaVision is that Agatha has used magic from the Darkhold, and as we've seen throughout WandaVision and Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, when you use the Darkhold, you end up becoming a person that you don't want to be. So how much of Agatha that we know from WandaVision is because of her use of the Darkhold, and how much of it is her just being a bad person? We don't really know yet. And I think we're going to find that out as this series goes on. Is there a redeeming quality to this person, or is it she's just a bad person? I think it sets it up to where we're going to learn a lot more about her.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but I like that, and that's giving me a new perspective to take on it. I just figured we had so much fun with this character. Let's just let her. So we'll get into a little bit of real spoilers here. I mean, obviously, if you watched WandaVision, you know how it ends, where Wanda like traps her in that character of the nosy neighbor, which they even make reference to, being trapped in the small town, playing the character she infused into Wanda's mistake, right?
Yep.
And the first episode, it starts off as kind of like a gritty crime drama.
Yep, like True Detective or something. Yeah.
Yeah, she's playing the character a little bit too Resident Alien, I feel like. I don't feel like Catherine Hahn's character in that setting of that show was as gritty and realistic as everyone else. She felt a little bit too over the top, but like intentionally, not criticizing. But I loved it when they did that opening credits.
Yeah.
It's like based on the Swedish, crime drop, which, because we love a meal. It
right.
just, it just made me smile all the more.
When it starts out, it feels like that, that detective that, maybe their life is kind of falling apart, and maybe they've started to drink too much. Maybe they've lost their family or whatever. And the only thing that kind of they still wake up for is the job,
Mm-hmm.
That's how it feels. And so then you're like, initially right off the bat, and we're in the spoiler realm, but initially you're kind of like, is this what the show is? Is this kind of who her character is now? And then you as it goes on, you realize that she's been kind of stuck in this spell and maybe playing out different roles within that spell, but none of them are her being her, and none of them are her being really Agatha. So, and then, from there where it goes, and she kind of comes back to reality, as far as, who she is and who she's been. But now she doesn't have her powers. And so now what do you do? Because she's pissed off a lot of people, and there's some people that aren't happy with her. And so kind of where do you go from there? And her first step is really kind of getting a group of people together that can kind of help her get powers back. And so that means aligning with some other people that have either lost their powers, or, there's one younger guy in this group that really is kind of at the beginning of his, I guess, witch career or whatever. So he's kind of trying to get there for the first time. And some of these other folks, maybe they were on top of their game at one point, and for whatever reason, they've lost it, and they're trying to get it back. So it just set up for, them to go on this like epic journey, and I just want to see where it leads.
Now, I'm going to say this, bear with me.
Yeah.
Up front, I enjoyed The Acolyte, another Disney Plus series, Star Wars. I think it made some missteps, but overall I liked what that show was trying to do. There's some technical things. But this show, also about witches, versus space witches versus comic book witches. They have a moment where they're singing a song together that's almost chant-like, and it works. Like, I would go buy that song on iTunes and just listen to it as a jam. Like, it works. Like, I kind of like, it's like, how did they get that so wrong on Star Wars? Like, when I feel like that chant, again, I'm not trying to be super critical, but like that one fell flat for me in the Star Wars episode, but it really landed for me on this one. And I liked it, maybe because they worked in the fact that one of the characters' mothers like wrote a rock ballad version of it, and they were able to lean into that I don't know. We are in spoilers. I don't think that's a huge thing, but the new characters they've brought in are really interesting. They all have their own dynamics. Their dynamics with Agatha is great. And I think, what does she keep calling him? Teen, the boy, the young guy. Like, she just keeps calling him Teen. I just think is hilarious.
The song that you're referring to really has that like sea shanty film like sound to it, where it's like it's like a pirate would sing or something. Like, it has that like tone to it where it's like, and
almost
they
a
all
call and response.
Yeah. And it just I don't know, there's something about it that really pulls you in. You're like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting. And it makes it really works the way that they do it. And even though we don't know the words, though, like, as they're singing it, it's like, okay, I'm getting into this, and I understand that for them, this is kind of half story, half rumor, like, and they don't know. I guess they don't know whether this is a real thing or whether it's just kind of something that they've heard over the ages, but they all know how to do it. So it's interesting. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I this is one that, I didn't know what to expect going in. I didn't know what this was going to be about. I kind of thought that maybe it was going to be very campy and, kind of like when she had the one episode in WandaVision where she kind of reveals herself and they do like the theme song for her and stuff. It is very like campy, like, kind of jokey. And there is some humor to this, but there's a serious vibe to this as well. Like it's not just jokes and laughs and being silly. Like there's kind of some dark seriousness to this. Like, the I don't want to get too spoilery, but there's a group of folks that are not happy with her, and it is kind of creepy. Like
it's giving me the horror vibes, and please don't come at me, folks. This is just my opinion. It's giving me the horror vibes I wanted from Multiverse of Madness, which we got in some parts, but everything else canceled it out for me. Like I like the avenue they're going, and Aubrey Platz's character, I can't remember her name at the moment, but loved her in Parks and Rec, seen her in a couple other things. She was great on Legion, and some of the things. I haven't seen her do a bad role yet, but like she looks like she's having so much fun with this character.
Yeah, she looks like she was born to play like this kind of role. So
yeah.
So
looking forward
anyways,
to watching more.
It's early on. Do you know how many episodes it's supposed to be total?
I can look it up. I don't know. My guess is 8.
Yeah, a lot of them have been like 6 or 8. So we're only 2 in. They should be weekly from here on out. But so far we're both loving it. Check it out, enjoy it, and let us know in the comments if you think we're dead wrong and you don't like it at all. Let us know that. If you are enjoying it as well, let us know that. So
yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm looking on IMDb. I don't see a listing yet for episodes. Oh yeah, no, not 9 episodes.
Okay, so it's rather longer one because there's been some as short as like 6. So yeah,
yep,
they got a little bit of story to tell. So yeah, tune in. Let us know what you guys think. And if there's anything else that you guys that you like and you'd like to see a Wednesday one shot on that you think that we might enjoy, hit us up. It may not be something that necessarily Jesse and I both like. When that happens, sometimes we have somebody else jump on here with us. But yeah, if you have any recommendations, throw that out there. Who knows? Maybe that'll be a Wednesday one shot as well. So
absolutely.
And until next time, what's on your one shot?